Okay. Hey, real quick. Someone, you're good on volume, I think. Just can someone pull up the live stream and make sure they can't hear us talking? And then, Gene, I'm gonna get the Discord stream in here. Just give me a second. Yeah. What's this? Oh. They can hear us. All right. Oh yeah, they hear us. Okay, we fucked up. All right, I fucked up. Hold on, guys. All right, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. So obviously I'm not doing something right with that. So I'll just switch us over. I did last time. So no worries. This is something on my end I got to do. Okay. Audio check. 1 2 1 2.
Yes, he'll be keeping track of all the action and accidents down there as we are looking at an amazing race at Dover Motor Speedway, race 2 in our 10-race regular season here live. Zach, tell me, my friend, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Thank you so much, me and Gene. Super excited to be here. Thank you, MRL, for having me. And man, what a great race we have in store today. One of the most difficult tracks on the schedule. They are not giving these guys a break. Race 2, and we're already at the Monster Mile. This track is brutal as is, and today we're in one of the most difficult to drive stock cars on the planet. These guys are going to have a long race in front of them, a long 140 laps. I think we're in for a treat tonight.
I tell you what, we are doing 140 laps here, and the format of it is we were going to have one halfway mark. There will be no stage breaks. There is no competition caution at that halfway mark. Whoever's leading, they're going to go ahead and they're going to get those playoff points moving forward. So we're looking at an exciting format right now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 20, that's right, 20 drivers registered to run here at Dover, as this is the second race of our 10-race season. Remember, last week we saw Duval himself snatch victory from the jaws of Tony Iverson. Tony Iverson, he took the pole. He was the fastest lap. He led the most laps. He took the stage win. And then with 11 laps to go, Tony Iverson needed a little splash and go of fuel. And what happens? But Jax Duval pushes to the front and takes the dub from him. I'll tell you, Zach, you've run this track a few times. You ever had that happen to you, my friend?
Luckily not here, but I've had it happen in this league. When you sign up for MRL on the iRacing interface, it says fun racing, and I think they say something about fuel strategy, and they're not kidding. The races are won and lost on pit road in this league, and it happens all the time. That was.
You know what amazed me, Zach, is Duval. I didn't see him slow down, though. The guy was still running laps as fast as the other people, and it makes me wonder, did he just have a really good draft strategy? Tony was in the front that whole time, just pushing into that open air. Does that really affect these next-gen cars that much?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That can make or break your race right there, and that was just brilliant by Duval. It's not his first rodeo in this league. He knows how to win races here. He's got the combination, the speed and strategy that it takes to win here, and that was a game of chess. And that's the difference between a guy who's been here for 50-plus races and a guy who's been here for 8. Sometimes speed isn't enough.
I love that analogy. You're talking about some people playing chess. Some of them are playing checkers. And if you come over to my pit stall, we're going to be playing tic-tac-toe, because that's how we do it with Mean Gene money. Now, let's look at some of the other people from last week, Zach. Duval with the win. Matt Novella right behind him, but Novella 10 points behind in the regular season stats. Kenneth Redinger, really good run for him, tied with Novella. Jay Stinson took fourth, but Austin Meadows Morrow is going to be fourth in points because of the extra points that he got. Iverson, the dominant man, he's sixth. Bobby Dodson, seventh. And David Owens was in eighth. He's eighth in points. And the reason why I want to bring him up is Owens is coming off of a championship in a Thursday night league here recently. So Owens is a guy we're going to have to keep an eye on as we move forward into this race. Let's look at some of these practice times and qualifying times. Zach, who is the fastest guy in practice here today? And it's no other than No Chill himself, David Owens, laying down that 23.160. What do you think? Are we going to see Owens pushing for that lead tonight, or who are your drivers we should keep an eye on?
Oh, yeah, I got a few for you. I mean, obviously, the guy I call the final boss, David Owens. It does not matter what car that guy is in, truck, Xfinity, or Cup. He is so quick, such a good veteran, one of the leaders of this league, and has wins, and I believe, in every discipline in MRL. Something to look out for, and I know Dover is one of his favorite tracks. He is a master at saving tires here. We can ride on board with him for a few laps, and you won't believe how little he turns his wheel. He's incredible here. And speaking of long runs, another guy here who is unbelievable on long runs is the 56 of Matt Novella. He is going to have good speed on the short runs. You might see him hang around, I think, 6th to 10th where he is now. But, man, watch out for him if we go 40-plus laps on a run. He will carve through the field, and he's getting the lead before you know it. And then obviously the guy who has the most wins in the Cup Series, the guy who had the most wins last season in the Cup Series, the guy who seems to run things around here, Joseph Volpis, monster qualifying lap. Someone you're going to have to look out for all day.
That's right, Joe Volpis. He did take the pole here today. The 908 of Matt Fritz right behind him. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, that 900 on your car designates that you are a rookie here in this series. But that doesn't mean that these guys are rookies overall. Every driver in this field is a champion from somewhere. Whether it's from Heat 5 or countdown to Daytona back 10 years ago, all these guys are used to winning. So we're expecting to see them. Other names you want to look at, that front row has Volpis and Fritz, Bobby Dodson, Kevin Bauer, row 2, Justin Parham. Guy ran fast as lightning last week. He's on row 3 with Matt Novella. And row 4, you got Mason Smalley and Tony Iverson.
Yes, and watch out for Tony Iverson today. Absolutely. He is going to be quick. I think he's going to be very hungry after what happened last week. He's going to be out here to prove something. So I'm very, very excited to see what Tony Iverson's able to do. I think he's going to be, I don't even want to say a sleeper, but oh man, I'm excited to watch what he can do. Him and Owens together too. That's going to be a show for the first stage.
Well, the question is, how close will they get to each other? And when you say the words get together, what is the definition of that? David Owens, you know, he was one of the drivers with the most incident points from last weekend. Most of those incident points,
Getting ready for green,
were on the front of his bumper. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can see we're about to go live, coming around, and it's going to be Joe Volpis leading him across that start-finish line, going into turn 1. Matt Fritz outside of him as we are live here at Dover.
Relatively clean start from the leader there. Not too much action behind them. Everyone trying to find their lane here. It is tough to go side by side at this track.
Yeah, this is definitely a track where I would not be surprised to see a lot of single lane racing once they get deeper into this run. But for now, we're hoping that we're going to see these guys try to dice it up. But I imagine the first few laps, they're just going to be figuring out what exactly is going on with their car. How are the tires going to react? And also, how are the other drivers going to react as they start battling for position as they're running around here at Dover? But for now, we can see Volpis still in the lead, looking smooth. Bobby Dodson in the 32 trying to chase him down. Matt Fritz following behind in that 908, and real tight behind, you can already see Justin Parham making moves in that 903 Napa Chevrolet.
Yep, everyone just trying to settle in right now. Oh, and we already got a caution.
Well, no sooner do we say we're going to settle in,
right?
And all of a sudden the caution is out there on the track.
And that is the tough part about Dover. So big about just settling in. Oh, and looks like someone already will be towing. I believe that is the 57 of Garand.
Quite unfortunate. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, some series does have that quick repair where one time you can come in and get that thing fixed fast. Unfortunately, here in this league, you got duct tape and you got sledgehammers, and that's what they're working with down there. Garand, though, in and out relatively quickly. Not sure what he's doing. Having trouble pulling into his pit stall, and he's going to take tires while he's in there. Curious to see how much damage he's got. See the field going by, putting Garand a lap down.
Yes, and here he comes back out. And I do not believe he actually was the one who made that enormous contact with the inside wall. I believe that was coming out of 2. That is such a tough spot. It is so easy to get spooked by that outside wall, overcorrect, and end up on the inside wall. One thing that's so brutal about Dover, there's no real runoff area here. There are walls everywhere, and they will bite you.
So we see the cars following behind the pit car as they're leading them around Dover. We've only run a few laps here so far. I hate seeing that immediate caution come out, but I think that's something that you expect. Track position's so important here at Dover Motor Speedway that when you see that opening, you feel obligated to take it. But if you're the car in the front, you feel obligated to slam that door shut. Give and take, but it's kind of hard to to be given when you know it could cost you 4 or 5 positions with one little wiggle.
So true. It's exactly like you just said. You feel like you have to take those opportunities, especially early in runs, because you don't know how much it's going to spread out or when that opportunity is going to come again. But at the same time, such a big part about being successful here is being patient, locking in, protecting those tires, and making the passes on the long run. However, easier said than done, and hindsight is 2020. Don't blame him at all for being in those circumstances, making those decisions.
That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on also, is exactly how far these guys can go with fuel and how far they can go with their tires. You're going to take some chances to maintain that track position, but on the other hand, if you make the call wrong, your car wiggles, you go up high and get out of that preferred line, you could see 4, 5, 6 cars zip right on through and suddenly find yourself going from a podium to straight out of the top 10.
So true. And yeah, that is very true. We're going to have to keep our eyes on the gas here. This is a track that is less than a mile and a half. So in this league, I believe that's 55% fuel load. So the runs will be relatively short. I assume we'll probably get 3 to 4 pit stops throughout this race. Looks like we're getting ready to go green again. Let's see what we can get going on this time.
And Joe Volpus has gone the inside as he is leading the pack around. He's got Bobby Dodson on the outside. Green flag, they go hammer down. Volpus with an amazing shot over the start-finish line. Bobby Dodson on the outside of him, cutting down hard. 2 cars trying to do that single car racing. And then behind them, you can see side-by-side racing as they bring around in the backstretch here at Dover.
Absolutely. The back lane, or the top lane behind Dodson, just did not get a great start. As you can see, still trying to recover from that. It looks like the inside lane just made out great there. And what a brilliant start by Volpus, already back off to the races.
That's something about Joe Volpus. He does a great job at controlling that restart zone. You never can guess with the 07 if he's going to drop it at the beginning, the middle, or the end. It seems like it's almost determined by what the car next to him is going to do, just to make sure that he gets that slingshot effect. No help from the car behind him, but just his ability to guess where you are on the throttle allows him to get that amazing start. Joe Volpus leading them here live. As we go back into the pack, we can see some other nice tight racing here at Dover. Lots of single file with only a few cars trying to go down on the bottom.
Yes, you see Owens already trying to work his way through the field, working that inside lane. I love that lane here at Dover. It's Owens gets loose. Nice save, but that bit him. That is tough on that exit. You have that giant monster outside this track, Miles the Monster, and I literally feel like he lives on the walls of this track and he spooks you. And you saw what happens there when you see you come up that brutal outside hill and you see that wall, and before you know it, you're facing the inside.
Absolutely. Austin Merrow managed to get by him, avoid that foolishness. Jay Stinson, the 2 car behind him, forced to ease up just a little bit. Owens, he does have a history of running a loose car, so I'm not surprised at all to see it wiggling early on. I know myself personally, I'll take a few laps to figure out what my car is going to do, but then again, I'm also not running for podiums every week.
I totally agree. That is when you lose to David Owens, is when you try to keep up with the crazy things that he's able to do. He can drive the crap out of any race car, and he has a very aggressive race style. Doesn't mind getting loose. Wow, and yeah, Steve Lewis, and like you said last week, this guy has made so much progress in the past few years, puts in the work, and you can see it on the track. What a great job Lewis has done the past season.
I am not surprised to see Lewis up there. I talked about it last week. Lewis is looking at an upgrade, looking to get some of that Fanatec gear into his rig, and if he does, I expect to see nothing but faster things from Lewis. Right now, though, he's running in that 13th position right behind David Owens.
Absolutely. Love that point you made last week. And I'm not paid by Fanatec, so I recently upgraded to them as well, and it does make a big difference. But it also is a big deal to work up to that gear, right? It doesn't make sense to start iRacing fresh and immediately buy yourself a Fanatec. You won't know what to do with it. As you get better, the equipment will start to make sense as to how you can gain speed from it. Steve Lewis is at that point in his iRacing career, and it's screaming in his face. I can't wait to see what that guy can do with even better equipment.
Right now we go back to the track. You can see Mason Smalley in that 26 Chevrolet making his way around in that tight field right there. The 9 of Kevin Brower right ahead of him. But if you look behind him, you're going to see it get real tight, real fast, as 6 or 7 cars are just bumper to bumper. They spread out a little bit down that straightaway, but once they come into that turn, you can see just how tight those cars get.
Yeah, and if you look in front of them a little bit too, you can see how big the gap is getting in front of them. Ooh, there's a tag the wall by the 9 there. But
yeah, Kevin Brower was just checking to make sure the wall was still there.
Yeah, it's always good to do that, especially early in the race. But that is so true about Dover as well, and I think a big reason why you're seeing that stack up is you don't want to go 3 wide at Dover, right? But it's also not fast to run side by side, so they're trying to be patient, let these guys figure it out. But that's also costing them some time to the field in front of them. Got to make your moves quick and got to make them work here at Dover.
A little bit of an incident there with the 26. I'm not sure what happened. He blinked and then went back further on the track. Suddenly he finds himself running back in 19th. Not a car issue, might have been an internet issue. That was a strange little blink. I think the Matrix, somebody must have jumped into the Matrix on him.
I agree. Didn't hear anything over the radio, and his ping looks okay, so hopefully that's a one-time issue for him. But yeah, blinking is not fun at a tight track.
All right. So let's jump back up to the leaders. Let's take a look at Vulpes and break down into the groups. You can actually see how some of these groups are running. You've got Vulpes right behind him. Bobby Dodson has a little bit of a gap of a second. Justin Parham is about a second behind Dodson. And then you see a nice jump of another second or so into Novella, Iverson, Fritz, that little gap. And then, hey, it's the Colonel Sanders himself. Jack Sanders, last year defending champion in that number 25. He's back in it. He missed last week, unfortunately for him. But now Jack Sanders back on the track here at Dover, looking to defend his Monday Night Mayhem title from Season 2. The Colonel, Jack Sanders, running in 7th in that 25 car.
What I love about Jack Sanders, too, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is the defending champion with 0 wins last season, right?
It is amazing how that works. Yes, if you manage to get enough points, a lot of speculation and rhetoric surrounding exactly how you get a championship without winning. And then Jack Sanders, he won up to everybody and also won that race at Michigan. Beat the other championship drivers at Michigan with track strategy. He took tires they didn't, and that allowed him to push his way to the front. And Jack Sanders, under the advice of 4 Spice Girls and 7 guys named Herb, managed to take that championship.
And I love that, honestly. I love that so much because, as a lot of people know, this Cup Series here in MRL runs a format similar to the real Cup Series, the NASCAR Cup Series, with playoffs and then a championship 4 race, a winner-take-all. I know a lot of people will have mixed opinions on that, but it goes to show that you can still win championships off that based on consistency. It is possible. That is an awesome defending champion. It's great to see him out here having a great run. And don't look now, but you got Matt Novella in the 56 working through the field. He's already up to 4th. I'm paying attention to see how he's bringing down that lead versus that group with Vulpes and with Dodson. But that's going to be interesting if we can stay green for the rest of this fuel run. I'd love to see that. I think a lot of these guys are kind of trying to figure out what they may have later. Maybe now is the time to push your car a little bit harder and see when those tires do fall off so you don't find out later and get caught with your pants down with 5 laps to go or something like that.
Well, if Novella's out there looking for the best lap, the best track position, where to let off and where to hit the gas, he couldn't have picked a better car to follow than that 13 of Tony Iverson. Iverson, he was on a rail last week, and it looks like he's found in that pace again. Tony Iverson in that 13, currently in 4th, right ahead Matt Novella in that, what color would you call that Monster Energy car? That is a fascinating car.
I've been printing a lot of shirts that color, and it's called Natural when it's a t-shirt, so we can go with Natural. It's not quite white, but
Natural. He's not the best color man in the business for nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. That's what got me the job here. But yeah,
Matt Novella, right. He's Matt Novella. I don't want to call him the lurker, but this guy, he last week what he did was he took a chance on that first set of cautions, and he did not come in, and then he blocked everybody from coming past him, and that allowed him to maintain a nice track position. so that once we did go to the pits and everybody took 4 tires, everybody took a full tank of gas, Novella still found himself in the top 10, and he was able to hold on to that position. And then that car for Novella really came into its own, allowing him to finish second place last week.
Absolutely. And the lurker. Oh, and Novella gets loose into the wall right as we're complimenting him. Doesn't look like it was too big of a hit.
I feel like the announcer that jinxed the field goal kicker there.
We just did it. We just did the announcer jinx. That was mean of us. And I had a whole like 1 minute long compliment to give him, but now I feel bad. Hopefully that's not too bad. We know these next gens are tanks. That looked like a pretty flush hit on the side, which is what you want. You don't want any engine damage. You don't want front end damage. Hopefully Matt's okay. And yeah, he is the lurker. That's a great name, a great way to describe him. He is the defending Thursday night champion for a reason in trucks. And it's because towards the end of the season, the fields got a little bit smaller, the cautions got a little bit less frequent, and back then, there was no middle of the race caution for the stage, and Matt was unbeatable on the long runs. And that is what made him notorious in that series. And we're seeing a little bit of it today, but I'm looking at Tony Iverson. He is cutting off time drastically to Joseph Volpes. He is down to 2.2, 1.8 seconds, 4/10 that lap.
Iverson right there, you can see him going underneath the 903 of Justin Parham, holding his position quite nicely. Even though we're deep into the run, he's still able to maintain that track position. He and Parham out side by side right now. That's third and fourth place battling. And you can see Bobby Dodson. Oh, a little touch. Iverson says, it's time for me to go by you, Mr. Parham. You need to figure something out because I'm going forward, and you had your chance to move forward. You chose to stay in third. I'm moving up. It's time to go.
Absolutely. And Parham says, I'm having none of that. Not clear, buddy. This is my top lane. He's going to try it one more time. Not quite able to clear, and you can tell how brutal that corner exit is. That car wants to shoot towards the wall so badly. He is just wrestling. It looks like he should clear him here. Beautiful pass by the 13. And he's going to set his second and first with tons of long run speed, just like last week.
I mean, Parham had to let off at that point. It was clear Iverson has saved some tires, and he was able to hold that car down on the apron. And what was happening is you just seeing Bobby Dodson pulling away in that 32. And also, just as frightening, you're looking at Matt Fritz in that 908 Mountain Dew getting closer and closer. And that's just not a game you can play here.
Could not agree more. At some point, you just have to think about the grand scheme of the race. These things are marathons, not sprints. It just isn't worth it to destroy your tires if you know eventually it's a losing battle. I think it is the right call. That guy, or Tony Iverson, has tons of speed. Let him do his thing. Maybe he'll get caught up a little bit here with second place, and then you can pick up the scraps from that. It's all about thinking long term.
And I'll tell you what, those two cars are not strangers to each other. Last week, we saw that exact situation happen as Iverson was trying to chase down, I believe the leader at that point was Chase Stinson. After being blocked by Matt Novella, Iverson finally got by, and he and the 903 of Parham made contact that exact same way, and we're seeing the exact same results as Tony Iverson pushing through Parham and getting up into that third position, trying to chase down the 32 of Bobby Dodson now. A lot of speed. Parham couldn't keep up and pull that draft off Iverson last week. I hope he can this time. I'd love to see the 903 in that battle at the end.
Totally agree. It's all so awesome to see the rookies here having success. And like you said, these are not rookies to iRacing. These are rookies to MRL. These are incredibly talented drivers, oftentimes the most dangerous in terms of speed drivers in the pack. And you don't know what to expect when these guys come here. And it's awesome to see fourth and fifth by two triple-digit numbers. And while we were talking about Parham, he got by Dodson like he was standing still. Iverson is carving through the field. Dodson let him go. I think he knew he had nothing for him, and that Volpes lead is shrinking by the second. He is on borrowed time. I am curious to see when these guys end up pitting. And one note in this run right here, Volpes' fastest lap so far, a 23.4. Iverson's a 23.6. Pretty 2/10 is a lot in terms of fastest lap, but that is what that means in long run speed. That's why it's worth it to have that patience. It's hard to do, but that's why it's worth it.
And I imagine Volpes probably put that lap down in the first 10 or 15 laps of this run. But here we are. We're looking at lap 38 at this point. You got to start wondering at what point these guys are starting to think about tires. I think we saw tire wear last week at around 45. What do you think today, Zach? How do you think these guys are going to start slipping around what lap?
Oh, I think now. I think they're miserable now. I think we're watching a lot of really great drivers that are doing a great job of finding speed, but where we're looking right now, as you can see, down to the inside, there's just a lot of cars drifting up the track. I don't think that's by choice. I don't think they're comfortable in the bottom anymore, and if you can't hold the bottom here, that top wall comes up at you so much faster. So sometimes it's easier to just rim ride the top, and for some reason it just feels like, well, it's obvious actually. It makes a bigger arc out of the corner, and so it doesn't make it so violent when you're exiting, and that's what this track is all about, is exit. And we got a battle for the lead, and there goes Tony Iverson for the lead. Past Volpus. What a move. What a drive.
Unbelievable. Let's see what Volpus is going to do with it. Volpus, has he been saving tires, waiting for this moment? Or is he just on cruise control? Remember, you do get points if you lead laps. You get points if you lead the most laps. And you get points if you're leading at the halfway point. So we're not quite there. There's definitely going to be some gas pit stop, whether it's green or yellow. That's to be determined before they reach that halfway point. So now might not be the time for Joe Volpus to try to duel with Tony Iverson at this stage of the race. He might want to wait and get some new tires. I mean, hey, for all we know, one of these guys could make a mistake going in and out of the pits, especially if it's a green pit situation.
Oh, I totally agree. When you pass Joe Volpus, that often doesn't mean anything. I can't tell you how many times where I've passed Joe Volpus or he's been running second place to me, and I'm telling my spotter, run on board with Joe. I don't trust him. I think he's saving. I think he's doing something. We've talked about it already. This dude plays chess a lot. Joe Volpus probably wins more races on field mileage than anyone else in this league, and that's not taking anything away from him. He can win them on speed just as easily, but he is a genius when it comes to saving gas. He's a genius when it comes to getting the most out of a car in the long run, and he right now is just learning, because we still got 100 laps to go in this thing.
Volpus right now, that gap between he and Iverson has crept up. You can see Iverson now with a 0.7 second lead. And Volpus, if you look in that rearview mirror, Joe Volpus, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see that 903 of Justin Parham and that 908 of Matthew Fritz. These guys might have 900 numbers, but they are not rookies to this track. A good pass right there. Matthew Fritz going right underneath the 903 of Parham. And now we see the 908 of Matt Fritz take over that third spot.
Yep, a little bit of a hit of the wall here. As we can tell, we got a lot of guys struggling on these old tires. The next gen does not love the turn. So in these conditions, it is brutal. These guys are doing everything they can to hang on, get these cars as far as they can, not get stuck under potentially a mistimed yellow flag. You want to pit with the rest of the field. This part of the run, for most people, is pure misery, unless your name is Tony Iverson.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was some really nice graphics as we saw that instant replay side by side with that live racing. Great work by that MRL crew. And we go down, we see there is cars in the pits now, that first car taking advantage of the opportunity to get fresh gas. I'm not sure if he took tires or not. We'll have to see if we can get word from the pit crew of as far as what happened down there.
Yeah, very interesting. You'd think you definitely want to take tires. We're not going to get a stage caution. So you do not know the next time we're going to go yellow. And Dover is notorious for long runs. As brutal as this track is, it is easy to get long runs here. It's like we talked about, people don't love racing hard here. So a lot of times we got some single file action. You're just racing the track similar to a place like Darlington.
And look how quickly we see the 908 of Matt Fritz slip by Joe Volpus. And Justin Parham in the 903, also within sniffing distance of Joe Volpus. Would not be surprised if we see him slip on by in just a few more laps.
Yeah, very interesting. Volpus stretching this out. We've seen guys like Matt Novella already hit pit road. We've seen Keith Redinger hit pit road. Lots of fast cars already hitting the pits. But we're having guys like Volpus, fast cars, stay out. So a lot of times, and car around, 2 cars around.
That's Bobby Dodson in the
that
32.
Is Dodson. And that was Novella, I believe, who initially hit the wall and I think spooked him a little bit. And Dodson just reacting to it. We've all been there. Maybe grabbed a handful of brake and around it went. Shouldn't be too bad of damage, I hope.
Let's find out. We got a caution here at lap 50. Let's go back to that replay.
So I think you're going to see Novella hit the wall here in the natural monster car. So here we go.
Got a good
So
shot
Novella
right
is
there.
going to be on fresh tires here. He's going to blow by him.
Novella just swings on through.
Oh, he is loose, out of control. That's a big hit for Novella, and I think Dodson did just react. I'd love to see Dodson's onboard, see what that looked like. I
There's
think
not a lot Dodson Bobby could have done. He's on old
No.
tires right there. You sneeze on old tires and you're going to spin.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. We got to take that into account as well. That dude was on nothingness in terms of tires. He probably didn't even grab that much brake, and that thing came around.
Nope, Price. All right, we got cars coming down in the pits. Iverson leads them down. You can see Matt Fritz as well, Joseph Parnham, Joseph Vulpes, David Owens. Looks like everybody's going to take this opportunity, except for those fellas that are already pitted. You know, they're feeling smart right about now.
They should be. They're going to get the wave around, but will they won't get the lead, correct? Because Novella was passing Dodson, who I believe was running second. So I don't think he got his lap back.
And I know MRL officials, you know, we do have the EOL penalty here, the end
Good
of
point.
line penalty for those that cause or involved in wrecks. And I think that MRL officials might have a message in the email box of Matt Novella after that incident.
Very true. If you have to pin that on somebody, if someone needs an EOL for that one, it's got to be the guy who created the original incident. And it looks like Novella, expecting that EOL, is going to bring it in the pits now, check for damage, not even really care about that wave around. That makes sense.
You know, I tell you what, to be a successful driver at the level of Matt Novella, you have to put those things behind you.
100%.
Accidents are going to happen. You're going to get bumps. You're going to get dings. You're going to wreck somebody, and you're going to talk bad about their mother. But you know what? 30 seconds later, you got to put it behind you and just get back on the track and race the thing. You know, you're out there racing these other drivers, but in addition, you're racing the track. You got to know where your marks are. You got to hit your points. Because if you think you're going to go in a little bit deeper just to try to beat David Owens or trying to beat Tony Iverson, you're going to end up in that wall quicker than a hiccup.
But one of the biggest things about being a good race driver, like you said, is, and like Ted Lasso always says, you got to be a goldfish. You got to store that stuff away. You got to not let it affect you. You got to be delusionally confident. You got to believe that you're better than everyone on the track, even if you're not. And I could not agree more. So Novella, exactly. For Novella to be as good as he is, you gotta just put that away, and I'm confident he will. Hey, we saw the guy that people call the greatest race driver in the world get loose and take himself out yesterday in NASCAR. So it can happen to anybody when you're that quick, driving on the edge all the time. You're vulnerable to more mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really surprising too. I was there live at Atlanta, watching. That was my first trip to Atlanta. Very fast track, ladies and gentlemen. If you get the chance, I would go. I'm going to go next year to the night race. Reach out to me. We can meet up while we're there. But quite amazing to see Joey Logano go ahead and play in the second round of the playoffs. Nice to see people not wrecking.
Yeah, it was nice to see it finish somewhat under green. We got over 10 like we always do, but a great race nonetheless. And yeah, you got a jump scare in September with Kyle Larson out of nowhere getting loose. That track is aging pretty cool in real life. I love how it's kind of still a super speedway, but that Atlanta aging is making it quite a fun track and giving us a cool hybrid. Hopefully that translates to iRacing.
I hadn't been to Atlanta since the 90s, so I saw the old pavement a lot quicker. Those boys are making it around that track in about 30 seconds. I mean, you don't even have time to go get a hot dog.
Oh, yeah. Those are the golden days.
So here we go. We are back live under caution as we are on, lap 52. Tony Iverson is your leader. He is on the inside. Justin Parham on the outside. Row 2. Joe Vulpes and David Owens. Gulf Coast teammates right there. Be interesting to see if there's any shenanigans out of those two. Matt Fritz. And here's the name we haven't said yet. Jonathan Casabir running in that number 6 car. He is in 6th position there on the outside in that Ford. Jay Stinson, he led some laps last week. Kevin Brower ran some fast practice laps, got a little wiggly, and the pace car is off. We are green as they are going over the start-finish line. Tony Iverson, what a jump, finds himself all alone. And then you got Vulpes, Parham, Owens right behind them, as looks like Parham is going to get into the 3rd position right behind Joe Vulpes running 2nd, chasing down Tony Iverson.
Keys on the counter. Iverson is already checked out. He's gone, but the rest of the field is crazy. Great action back here.
Now, this is what we saw last week out of Iverson. You know, about this point in the race last week, the man just started to dominate. His car was dialed in. He was on a rail. But that gas mileage thing, that gas mileage caught him. Jax Duvall took that win. You know, Jax Duvall, he got 13th place in that first stage last week. And yet that man managed to find his way up into the land of unbridled optimism right into victory lane. Let's go back to that replay.
And we are only
see Bobby Dodson again.
We're only 15 minutes away, or 15 laps away from the stage, and don't look now, but Duvall's in 12th. So he's in the danger zone. He could win this thing. Don't count any of those guys out. There's so much talent, 1 through 20 in this field. Anyone can do it.
And Jax Duvall running that Miami Dolphin paint scheme out of Duval County.
Yes, he
You
is.
talk about Florida, man. That's him. You've probably seen him on a couple of episodes of Cops.
Yep, I heard he's a character in Grand Theft Auto 6. Excited to see him there.
He's got IMDb credits. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jax Duvall.
Got
Racing here, a lot of single file, a little bit of three wide with Jax Duvall right in the middle of that hot mess.
and he makes it
Smooth
through.
out. Bobby
What a
Dodson
move by
still
Duvall.
ahead. It was Duvall right now. These run a couple of laps. He's got fresh tires on the thing. Coming off that win last week, he's full of testicular fortitude, and he's not afraid to rub it all over the place.
Yep, and I was going to say, if you want to find someone that's willing to go 3 wide at Dover, it's going to be Jax. He is fearless, showing it there, and he gets around a cup car better than most. He knows how to get the most out of these things, and it seems like all he needed was 50 laps, and he's pushing.
Chasing down Bobby Duvall, you can see ahead of them the number 2 is Stinson, Matt Fritz, Kevin Bauer, right ahead of them, 6th, 7th, and 8th position, running here at Duvall. Still trying to run down Bobby Dodson. Bobby Dodson, he got loose earlier. Nice to see that his car is still in one piece, and he can run those competitive lap times.
Absolutely, and yeah, you're seeing the 2 is Stinson, a couple cars up there. Another guy to watch out for today. A great competitor in the truck series as well. Someone who's already gotten a win this year. Led a lot of laps, always up front. You can tell that maybe it's taking him a little bit longer to get this next-gen car underneath him, but once he does, look out. That guy is extremely talented.
Oh, Stinson had a great run last week. We saw him running up front all day long. It did seem like on the longer runs, though, the tires might have got away from him. And then he was ate up by Tony Iverson, just like everybody else was last week.
Yes, nobody is safe from Tony Iverson. As we do see Vulpes once again showing that short run speed, back up to 2nd place, doing a great job. Only a half a second behind Iverson, which sounds like a lot, but based on the pace Iverson's shown since getting up front, that is about the best we've seen all day. Took off a little bit of time that last lap. Joe Vulpes finding a way to be the fastest car on the track on these short runs. It's just a matter of can he make it last 35, 40, maybe even 50 laps. It's going to be interesting to see how this race shakes out and what the last run of it is. I think that might determine who wins this thing.
I mean, what Joe Vulpes needs is somebody to challenge Tony Iverson and make him use his tires and run lines that he doesn't want to be on. But right now, the only car fast enough to make that happen is Vulpes. I'm just afraid it's going to cost him that tire wear, which is what I think we saw at the end of that last green flag run when Vulpes was suddenly just found himself eaten up by Parr and eaten up by Fritz, eaten up by the 32 of Bobby Dodson, and he just could not hold that position after trying to keep up with Tony Iverson for that nice little 30 laps of green flag racing.
Absolutely, and I worry about that exact same thing. You look at the gaps right now, you see 3 seconds from Owens to the leader and only a half a second for Vulpes, and the track has gotten faster. Vulpes has set another fastest lap of the race at 23.2, and Iverson again, well, he's put down a 23.2 just now, so Iverson now maybe getting a little bit spooked, maybe not wanting Vulpes as close as he is, not wanting to give him draft. But I completely agree with what you said earlier. I worry about this long run speed because I can guarantee you there's no way he's saving his tires better than he was in clean air. He's going to use them even worse than he did on that first run. And we saw that cost him about 2 seconds. And I don't think David Owens is 3 seconds slower than this pack. I think this is the methodical David Owens that we're used to. It looks like this pack here is saving.
Absolutely. But I think what we're really seeing right now is Vulpes is close enough that I think he's making Iverson cut that air for him. So it's going to be Iverson using the fuel, maybe more than Vulpes. We're going to see, though. I see Vulpes using a lot more of the track. Iverson, as I look up at these front runners, that guy's on a rail. He comes in at a medium high. He cuts down with a perfect apex and powers right through that turn. Nice, great throttle control. Joe Vulpes, on the other hand, I'm seeing him wiggle a little bit more. Not sure if he's trying to find different lines on the track or if that car is starting to get away from him after putting down those hot laps and running as fast as he has these last 8 laps of green flag racing.
Absolutely. You're seeing Vulpes go higher on the track earlier, but and also here we got a great battle for 4th and 5th, and that's not going to be saving any tires over there. These guys are battling hard, and you also see Owens using the middle of the track as well. I wonder if Owens has found something he likes. I mean, this is all preference, and really what it comes down to is however you can save tires. But I love that line that Iverson's running, especially here. If you can get that thing to the bottom and kind of just slot car it, you can get that wheel a little bit more straight than I feel like you may be able to higher on the track. And it seemed like, I don't think Vulpes wanted to go high earlier. And now you see Owens here. I think he's doing this to keep speed. And very different lines, like you said. It's very, very interesting to see how this is going. And I think, yeah, you're starting to see Owens kind of experiment a little bit here, see where he can find speed. This is probably your last opportunity to experiment before you need to go as fast as you can while saving the most you can. You really can't be, running a lap or two where you're like, oh, maybe this line will hurt my tires. I won't use it next run. This is when you got to figure some stuff out. So last chance to experiment right here.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to start finding that line. Not everybody's Tony Iverson and figures out the fastest, smoothest, best line in 3 laps. These other guys, they're still trying to figure it out. And especially when you got a guy in front of you, there is a preferred line. You need to figure out, can I dip my nose under there and get a run? Because if you don't get a clean run by somebody, you're going to get ate up by the 2 guys behind you. Right now we're looking ahead. We're looking from the car of Quesabir as he is checking out the battle between Owens and Parham. And if Parham gets side by side with Owens, don't be surprised if Jonathan Quesabir takes that number 6 right underneath and eats up those 2 positions.
Yeah, sometimes the best way to be fast is just to be patient. And that's a great point you said earlier, and we're just sitting here acting like air doesn't exist. Vulpes could be going high because he does not want to be in the dirty air of Iverson. Dirty air is more brutal in the next gen than any other car, as you saw right there. You saw that car, Parham go right across the wake of air from Owens and get shot straight up about 2 lanes. And that just feels brutal. Oh, and they touch on exit.
Woo!
Barely able to get that thing back underneath him going down the front stretch, and it looks like Parham was using him up, but trust me guys, that just stops turning, and we're gonna get the replay here.
David Owens reminds me of an old Simpsons cartoon episode. I'm gonna punch my fists out here, and if you get in the way, it's your own fault. And
Absolutely.
It looks like, unfortunately for Justin Parham, he got in the way. They made contact. Parham saved it. He did make contact with the wall, but just like last week, Parham was able to bounce off that wall, keep moving forward, and not lose too much track position, as he still got 0.3 of a second over the 5th place car of Jonathan Quesabir.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is definitely how Owens is. He's the veteran of this league, and he flexes that muscle sometimes. And as we see action all over the track, good stuff everywhere here. That Miami Dolphins car at Jax continue to go through the field. And yeah, Jax actually is having a great run. He's all the way up to 8th. Watch out for him. We're going to have some comers and goers in the late part of this race for sure.
Jax Duvall, he didn't even bother qualifying. They needed him, but he was in the Porta-John. Not sure what was going on in that Porta-John during that time. There was a very strange smell coming out of the Porta-John. Authorities were called, but by then Duvall was already in his car rolling for the start of the race. Luckily, nothing bad came out of that.
Yeah, I've heard the food here at Dover could be brutal. You should have done that after the race.
Well, another thing, though, Duvall, I think by going in there, he probably made himself at least 8 or 9 ounces lighter, and, he could have a slight advantage on gas mileage here later in the race.
Oh, for sure. You're seeing those aerodynamics work in his favor here. As they are crawling behind him, Novella just having a very eventful Dover race. Probably so sick of racing people at this point, but has to work his way through the field after that earlier mistake. never say and die, and wow, you can just see how difficult it is to go side by side here. Nice pass by Matt Novella.
Really curious as we start getting closer to that halfway point what we're going to see out of that 9, 10, 11 battle. Colonel Sanders trying to chase down the 9 of Kevin Bauer to get into that 10th place. He needs to start taking chances if he wants to find himself closer up and get into that top 10.
Absolutely. And I will mention now, we did forget, and I just did some math. 140 divided by 2 is 70. So congrats to Tony Allen on that stage point. That is going to help him in his playoff pursuit, and I believe that's 2 in a row, correct?
That is right. Tony Iverson. That guy, I mean, he did everything but win the race last week. And I wonder if during the second half of this race, that's something he's going to be thinking about. The calculator going off in his head. You know, he's got the Texas Instrument in his hand as he's trying to figure out that gas mileage. Tires not a problem for Iverson. He just needed that little splash and go to finish up that last 11 laps. And that did cost him getting down into that 11th place finish. Luckily, with all those points that he accrued, though, he did finish 6th in points, and I expect him to move up even further, especially with this excellent run that we're seeing out of the 13, as he right now has that big lead of 3 seconds over David Owens. Joe Volpus, so fast earlier in the race, suddenly finds himself back in 4th place, 5 seconds off the pace, just getting passed by Justin Parham in the 903. Matt Fritz, 908, that's your top 5.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing about bonus points is it can turn a 10th place run into a 6th place run like it did for Iverson last week. And yeah, just how we predicted, Volpus just seemed to have completely destroyed those tires, falling off very, very rough right now, all the way down 6 seconds behind the leader. That was under a second not too long ago. And like we said, David Owens still holding strong at 3 seconds. That's what it was about that same time, about 10, 15 laps ago. So he doesn't seem to have the long run figured out in a way that he can keep up with Iverson, but he does seem like he can get himself a good 2nd place finish. And who knows, you know, we've seen crazier things happen. We saw it happen last week. Sometimes all you got to do is put yourself in position. Great job by Owens. He's already thinking long term, and I would be surprised if he didn't find even more speed in this last run.
Well, a little bit of chatter on the radio. I couldn't make out exactly what was said, but David Owens and Justin Parham, again, with a little bit of communication on the radio. I'm not sure if they're talking about strategy or if they're talking about when they're going to pit. Ought to be interesting to see both these cars about 5 seconds behind your leader of Owens, Matt Fritz, chasing them down right behind them.
Ooh, big wall hit there. Big wall hit. And it's going to happen a lot now.
Who went in the wall? Who was it, Zach? I didn't see it. Who was it?
Who do we got there? That is, yeah, the 6 of Bryson in the wall. That is a big hit, and we're going to start seeing that a lot. Kevin Kyle's about to have, our producer's about to have a busy job for these next 5 laps because these turns are about to become impossible. Get ready for more of that. But yeah, Dawson is having a rough time on this long run. He's had tons of short run speed, but this track changes halfway through. It feels like a different place in a different car.
Bobby Dodson is using that higher line right now as he follows Jack Stuball around the track. And you can see right behind him that 9 of Kevin Bauer. Bauer's already wiggled a few times as well. 28, 26, Mason Smalley in that mess. We'll see exactly what's going to come out of that. Austin Merrill, a lap down, also in that group.
And Volpus here just struggling so bad. He's got a cluster behind him. That's Jax. That's the 32. So many cars, so many different strategies around him. This could not end well. This is scary.
It is, because the 28 and the 904 are racing for the lucky dog position. Right there, those 2 cars right behind Bobby Dodson. You can see that 904, you can see that 28. Those guys need that position. They're not going to let off. Bobby Dodson, he's been wrecked by everybody on the track pretty much. He's not going to let off. Joe Volpus moving backwards. Going to be interesting to see exactly what this group does. Bobby Dodson's starting to pull away, and you can see the 2 lap cars move through too.
Yep, different priorities here, different circumstances, and no one willing to give and take at this point in the race. It's understandable. Joe Phillips is saying, "Get around me, but do it quickly. I'm not gonna change my line more than I have to." And you have to understand that at this point in the run, that when you're doing these green flag runs, 1 second can stack up so quickly. You gotta think Volpus wants to bring this in soon. I'm not sure if he's trying to cut off a pit stop like he does so often, trying to salvage this whole thing maybe with a gas mileage race. And yeah, here he comes. He's had enough.
Yeah, Volpus had to come in. I'm not really sure what he's got planned at this point, but being the fastest car on the track for 10 laps and one of the slowest cars on the track for the last 10 laps before your pit stop is not a good strategy. He's going to have to figure something out with that car. That 07 team, they're going to need to adjust something, do something, because right now Volp is just losing so much speed after he runs about 20 laps on those tires.
Absolutely, and based on some quick math, I think Volpus is just trying to get that car to where he doesn't have to pit again, which is what he's so good at. The bad news for him is the guy who ran out of fuel last week is still out here, kicking butt, doing fine, hasn't pit yet. So Iverson's going to be okay. He's going to be able, if Volpus can make it, then Iverson can make it. He's, especially with that 5-second lead, he has time to save now. He can do whatever he wants if this thing stays green. So Volpus kind of having a bad situation turn worse there, I believe. Not really able to even have the gas rage that I'm sure he liked. But who knows, maybe if people continue to stay on the track, he can use his time now, make up some spots, and if we do get a yellow, he'll get that track position back.
I'm sitting here looking at their lap times. Iverson just ran a 24.3, which is pretty much 0.8 of a second off of the fastest lap that he's turned. So nobody's thinking about saving fuel as of yet. They're just putting down these hot laps. Be interesting to see when fuel conservation becomes an issue. I think that's something that we could monitor with Joe Volpus after making this pit stop. Is he going to start running laps that are in the 25-second range? If so, we know he's up to something.
Absolutely, and oh man, we just had big contact in the middle of the field. Steve Lewis, Novella in the 26 with a little bit of a kind of just a, I want to say they just all came together at a bad time. Like we talked about, lots of different strategies in the track right now, lots of different tire situations, and it's creating brutal quarter exits for certain people. As you see, Novella just handing on it. That's Jax on the wall. Ooh, solid hit by Jax. That is not going to help the way that thing handles.
Well, that's what happens when you light a cigarette going around a turn. Florida man himself showing that he can multitask, and he powers that 84, and he just continues to go around.
And
down again. Duval wouldn't stop lighting the cigarette, finds himself on the interior wall.
Jax in the 26. That was an interesting wreck. Smalley, I'm not sure if they both had the same idea. It was clear.
Let's go to that replay, Zach. I mean, let's think about it, Zach. I mean, you're driving 140 miles an hour. You're turning a 90-degree turn, and you're driving with your knee lighting a cigarette. What do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, you can only do so much, right?
Here's the replay.
Yeah, the 26.
I that looked like code, to be honest with you.
Yeah, let's see from behind the car if possible. I mean, it's easier said than done to drive in a straight line at Dover as well. And gotta mention, as you can see from this angle especially, this backstretch is banked. It's not straight. It feels weird. Kind of taking responsibility for that period.
It was a tap.
Maybe wanted to slide in behind him, a kind of Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott situation from a few years ago.
But when you go to court and you say, Your Honor, I barely touched your backside, that's still, you're going to lose that case. And that's what we saw right there as the 84 of Duval. He got touched inappropriately just a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if we see an EOL penalty come out of that, Zach.
Absolutely. It all feels the same for Duval. And it's going to be interesting to see how much damage he has from that, because that car didn't look like it wanted to drive anymore after that contact.
No, he was smoking. He was, there was more than just smoke coming from his cigarette when he hit that interior wall. That was a full Noah Craigson situation.
Absolutely. We got
Tony Iverson coming out of the pits. Amazing how we're both looking at the leader coming out.
Yes, we are. I'm looking for Volpus out here too. So Volpus a lap down. Did he just get on the short end of the stick in that pit strategy?
He could have. He might have come down. Because it's possible to be 2 down, right? If you come in on a green flag, you get down 2.
These are 23-second laps, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a caution, and then bam. Let's see what when those wave arounds come around, though.
Good point.
I don't think we've seen those wave arounds yet.
Brutal thing about the wave around, though, you typically don't get to pit. You start in the rear. It is nearly impossible to work your way through the field. He's going to be on, 10-lap older tires.
Mason Smiley right now talking in race chat about that incident. Smiley was the car that was involved with that in that wreck with Jax Duvall. David Owens also giving his 2 cents. Let's see what the MRL officials are going to do.
Yeah, Smalley under the belief that it was a racing incident more than anything else. Duvall not particularly upset about it. They're both acknowledging the difference in tires there. But like you said, me and Gene, someone was touching appropriately there.
Yeah, it's a thing. You know it's going to happen. And if you're on those faster tires, I think that you have to recognize when you're coming up on a slower car. It's hard. You know, you see a car in front of you, you want to pass it. You get up on its butt, you see it make a wiggle, you go the other way, and you shoot on by. How are you supposed to know that that guy hasn't pitted yet? It's really a difficult situation. If you're the guy that is on older tires, you don't want to just get out of the way and give up positions. But on the other hand, you also don't want to be a victim, and that's what we saw just happen to Jax Duvall. Perhaps discretion is the better part of valor. Maybe you get out of the way. Here we see the lucky dog, the wave arounds now, as we see the 6 of Case of Beer, the 07 of Vulpes making their way around. Matt Novella down 2 laps now. Not sure what's going on right back there with that 56 Monster Energy drink car, Ford.
That thing has been through a lot today. I'm assuming that car is just not driving the way Novella wants it to. But that's a great point. And yeah, the phrase today is going to be easier said than done, right? And that's how it is with the fresh tires versus old tires. It feels so easy when you have those fresh tires in your mind. I'm just going to drive through the field, go around everybody. The guys on old tires, they can't really choose lines anymore. They're committed to where they are. So if you enter somewhere that they are, and you may not even think on entry, like, oh, that car is 8/10 away from me, I won't catch him. Then all of a sudden you're there on exit and you don't know what to do anymore. Happens all the time. It is really at the end of the day a racing deal, but a racing deal can still have a tiny bit of fault in it. That's the brutal thing about racing. We're gonna ride on boards with David Owens for this restart. This should be a lot of fun. We have all the heavy hitters up front. Let's get ready for some great racing.
Yep, David Owens, he is running third. He's on the inside right behind Tony Iverson as we are green. Hammer down. Tony Iverson going to lead him through. Owens right behind him. Parham on the outside in the 903 Napa car, trying to stay even with Owens as we see Iverson with that great jump as they hit down the backstretch here at Dover.
Fourth on back, caught asleep as the top 3 take off. Got Iverson, Parham, and Owens, 3 heavy hitters, 3 guys who know their way around Dover. This should be a lot of fun. But another brilliant restart from Iverson. And Parham misses the corner a little bit, and Owens does not need any more of an invitation than that off the second place. That is all Iverson wants to see right here. Battle, battle, battle. I love this. This is tight.
Owens touches the wall. Parham underneath. They make contact again. Parham lets off just like he's done the last 3 times these drivers have made contact, letting David Owens get in front of him. But look at the lead. Again, Owens and Parham touching. That's inappropriate. And Jay Stinson, he's going to come up, and he's going to be the mediator between these 2 guys as he tries to push his way up into third, but he falls behind Parham. That's your 2, 3, 4, Owens, Parham, Stinson.
Called these next gens tanks earlier in the broadcast, but they're not indestructible. You can only slap that wall so many times before you break a toe link, before the car starts to drive completely terrible. We saw Novella on that restart immediately go to the top line, nothing to do with the field.
And then that 908 Mountain Dew of Matt Fritz going to round out the top 5.
Owens has found a way to be extremely quick. He has put down the fastest lap of the race. But as we've seen today, that does not matter in terms of leading this race. The guy who has had the fastest lap has had nothing for Tony Iverson. At no point in this race has Tony Iverson had the fastest lap of the race. He's just showing you right now how to be mature, patient, and win a race. But Owens has a hot rod, and this is one of his favorite tracks, if not his favorite track. We'll have to ask him in the interview after this, but he is showing it now. This is going to be a fun last 30 laps.
David Owens has managed, gets there, and he says, hey, have you met the front end of my car? Well, here it is. And then he gets right on by that individual. If Owens can catch up to Iverson, I think that we're going to... Oh, Owens again tapping the wall. That car is so slick, up and down. But Owens manages to keep pushing that thing forward. There is some damage on that front right of Owens. Did you see that, Zach?
Absolutely. I mean, there has to be, and yeah, you can definitely start seeing it start to get worse. You know, every time Iverson sees that in his rear mirror, he is smiling because he's not doing that. Owens showing that he has to drive this thing so hard to keep up with him. Nothing wrong with that in terms of showing Iverson the kind of speed you have, but I worry about his tires and I worry about the health of that car.
I mean,
But
he's lost 4/10
quick.
of a second in the last 2 laps.
Absolutely, and that could add up. That could continue to grow and grow and grow as we are hearing him, or we're seeing him slide up the track. I just hurt his tires a little bit. Might need to back up these corners a tiny bit. Maybe look at what Iverson's doing and try to replicate that. Dirty air is not a problem right now. This is a marathon, but if anyone can do it, it's that number 11.
We're going to find out as these cars continue to run hard. The tightest battle I'm looking at right now, Jay Stinson in 4th, and he's got that 908 of Matt Fritz in 5th right behind him. Matt Fritz, he's been in this thing all day battling for a top 5 position. These guys right here showing off their savvy. They might have 900 on their number, but they are not rookies, and they're looking to run hard. Jay Stinson also a factor last week. Justin Parham in that 903 run in 3rd. He was a factor last week. So we're starting to see a lot of the same names pushing to the front here in race 2 of the 10-race regular season. MRL Monday Night Mayhem here live on YouTube, brought to you by the MRL Broadcasting Network.
Absolutely. What a coming out party these last 2 races have been. Parham and Fritz showing that they belong, showing that they're going to matter all season, hanging out in the top 5, having race-winning speed. Very, very impressive, and just making this league that much more competitive. Like I said earlier, you got Joseph Volpis, the dude who had the dominant car in qualifying, great car in their short run, a lap down in 16th now. It just goes to show how much talent is out in this field and how difficult it is to win these races.
Really unfortunate, I think. You see Redinger in the 904, Volpis in the 7, Jonathan Quesabeer, Austin Merrow, Matt Novella. You know, these guys, they were in the front. They pitted early, going for that quick pit so that they could make up some time with fresh tires. And then that caution came out, and suddenly these top runners are finding themselves a lap down. Right now, Redinger, he's got a slight lead over Joe Volpis for that lucky dog position. Redinger in that 904, if a caution did occur, I think he would be the guy that we'd quickly see jump back up into the top 10.
Absolutely, and that's what's so hard about living and dying with his pit strategies. But we saw with Volpis, he had no choice. He had to get that car in the pits. He had to get those tires off of it. Worse things could have happened if he had stayed out, but it doesn't make the situation any less brutal, any less frustrating. I've had it happen to me more times than I can count, and it always seems to happen on the races where you have race-winning speed, right? But it's not over till it's over, and they are battling tough. Him and Lewis, wow.
Ooh. And look at Quesabeer and the 28 of Merrow get together. Thought we were going to see a wreck. And Volpis, again, his track speed, not quite what it could be. And there's a little bit of a blockage behind him as the 6 and the 28 making contact. As the 07 is he's got a booty about as wide as Rihanna, and they're just having trouble getting around him.
Yes, that is Merrow. I apologize, not Lewis. I got mixed up with the Dale Jr. scheme, but you are right. They are racing hard, and Volpis is like, you guys figure it out. I am not moving over, and he shouldn't.
No, absolutely. At this point, especially, you're racing for position with those guys behind you. Yeah, it's 16th position. We've got 20 here tonight. Only Stephen Neal has fallen out of the race. Stephen Neal, the 45, is out of the race. But other than that, you've got 6 guys racing 1 lap down for position, as we see Jonathan Quesabeer bringing Matt Novella with him as they go underneath Volpis into the wall. Volpis into the wall, and that's also going to allow the 97 to sneak by him as well. Tough run for Joe Volpis here today.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Like I said, I compare this track a little bit, and they're different. They're very different. But in terms of tracks where you sometimes feel like you're racing the track more than your competitors, this place in Darlington, and can't tell you how many times I've had a race like that where you have the qualifying speed, you have the practice speed, you get here, all of a sudden you're 35, 40 laps in the run, and you realize you had an oversight, or you just didn't quite figure something out. And sometimes being that fast can come back and bite you.
Absolutely, and then your right front goes into the wall, and that is the end of your day. Pushing forward, let's look at a good battle right here. David Owens running in that number 11 car in second place, 903 of Justin Parham, trying to find a different line to get around Owens. He's sneaking his nose underneath the bottom, but he better make sure he's got a clean path to get through, because you know David Owens is going to slam that door like your sister in the bathroom. If you think you're just going to walk on by, you got another thing coming.
Absolutely, and that's what he's going to have to wait for. What just happened there is Owens right in the wall and nice and easy on the inside. Should be able to clear, just send it in a little bit hard. Beautiful, and that's exactly what you're talking about. You have to wait for that. That is so much easier than racing David Owens, trying to create the space. Wait for it to create itself. Mistakes happen at tracks like this. And
Absolutely.
there it is right there.
The sister tried to call mom, and when she pulled her head out, you joined her out the bathroom, in you went. And that's what just happened, is the 903 of Justin Parham into the lead, into second place over Owens. And now we see the 908 of Matthew Fritz trying to go below Owens. And Owens is going to give him that position to block the number 2 of Stinson. Really interesting strategy here, as Owens is definitely playing a triage game, trying to keep his car on the track. Definitely problems as the 11 touches the wall again, allowing the 2 of Jay Stinson to pass him for the 4th position.
Owens needs to take that wall out for a date after this. They've gotten to know each other very, very well. I have no idea how he still has speed in that car. It is so impressive, but Owens experiencing that classic thing at really any oval track where it feels like you open the door for one person, then all of a sudden 10 other people come out of nowhere and you're stuck holding the door open for 5 minutes because he wanted to just let Parham go, and all of a sudden he's in 4th, battling for 5th.
Yeah, those 2 900 cars took advantage of that opportunity and zipped right on by. It makes you wonder. David Owens is a veteran. You don't expect him to make mistakes, but anybody can make that mistake of looking in your rearview mirror. And you know, if you're looking behind, you're not looking in the front, and that's when bad stuff can happen. David Owens now, he's got the 2 of Jay Stinson and the 32 of Bobby Dodson. Heck of a run by Bobby Dodson today. Bobby's been hit by everything except for his stepdad, and yet he's still managing to power that 32 car up into the 6th position, as he is smelling for more, and he wants to get into that top 5 as we are looking at lap 101 here tonight, right now.
Yeah, Dodson's such an impressive driver and just never saying die right now in this one. And again, such a difficult track to race with damage, and we know he has a tiny bit, if not more than that, and he is not letting that affect him. He's getting in those corners aggressive, working his way through the field. They have a nice 2-second gap to 7th place. So like you said, this is a battle for a top 5. One of these guys isn't going to get it. And Dodson, I'm sure he's happy, given everything that he's been through today, to be fighting where he is. What a great race by him, and that's why these things are long. You never give up, as Owens continues
into the
to
wall again, letting Stinson go by.
It's like NASCAR heat, where it helps you.
Well, you're not wall banging here. You know, that's the issue. There's no Ross Chastain. Look at Owens using that front end, though, on Jay Stinson. This battle is not over. And Bobby Dodson in that 32. He's right now behind Owens and Stinson. Both Owens and Bobby Dodson into the wall again. This is amazing how much damage these next-gen cars can take, as we continue to see the right side of the car tapping.
Oh,
Caution,
and we have a late caution. Oh, poor Tony Iverson. Big one, turn 1, according to Volpus. Let's check out this. Looks like the 28 involved of Austin Merrow. Oh, and this was a big one, boys.
A lot of radio chatter coming from the nationwide 28 of Austin Merrow.
Matt Dovella, with no fault of his own, stuck in another one.
Still here at Dover Motor Speedway, Moonlight Racing League, Monday Night Mayhem. We are in race number 2 here at Dover of season 3. Right now, Tony Iverson leading under caution as we are on lap 134, coming to close to the end of this. Going to be interesting if anybody's going to want to come in and take fresh tires.
It's everybody, and this is what I was going to say. This is going to be so interesting. So we have the leader in, we have Owens in. So many cars. I see the 904 staying out. That is Ranger on the lead lap. Is that correct?
Let's keep an eye out. We're going to let him rotate around and see exactly what is going to happen, because right now
Ranger passes the pace car, so I do not think he's going to take the lead. That would be very bold, to say the least, that stay out on tires that old. We'll have to see.
Austin Merrow, he was running in 15th, the last car on the lead lap, but now he's behind the pace car. I'm not sure if he was part of that incident, and maybe he's a lap down now. How about the 25 of Jack Sanders is currently being shown as the leader?
I believe he's going to come in. He was in that wreck. Yeah, so they're going to be giving the EOL to Sanders, and they just told him that, so no incentive to stay out.
Well, I've never figured out how they determine where the KFC buffets are located and not, but one thing's for sure, they will not be a KFC buffet in the hometown of MRL officials in the next year.
They will not, and the defending champ slapped with reality in his first race back. But that was one of those wrecks that was just, once again, and we're seeing this over and over again, it gets nearly impossible to drive these things on old tires, and it was just definitely a product of that. But what it is also extremely difficult to do is to drive them on cold tires hard, and that's what we're about to have to do. We're gonna have, I believe, it's going to be an overtime shootout to the finish, and it's going to be crazy. Tony Iverson, once again, just screaming, I'm sure, saying, why can't I just win one the right way, the normal way, right? I had it won. He had a 3-second lead. Now he just has to hold on.
But the good thing for Iverson is it's not going to be a fuel issue. At this point, everybody that wants to pit can come in. Everybody's going to have enough gas. Anybody that wants to get 4 fresh, have a good ones, or 2 fresh, who's your daddies, they can come in and make that happen, and it's going to be a matter of skill. Again, lap position, Zach, track position is a big deal, but when you got a car, and you can see the way we've seen 13 of Tony Iverson run, I've seen Tony pass on the inside, on the outside, but I've only seen one car pass in the middle, and that is the 84 of Jax Duvall. Right now, I see Jax Duvall in 9th. Let's see where he is once they rotate around and get behind that pace car for this restart.
I don't think there's going to be a ton of movement through the field. I believe everyone threw 4 fresh Goodyears on it, which was the right move. You would be a sitting duck with anything less than that, I believe. But nonetheless, we've seen Tony Iverson be brilliant on just about every restart so far today. He just needs to give us one more, and he'll be home free. But like I'm going to say again, easier said than done. See how we can do it.
Hey, when you control that restart, though, that is so much power right in the palm of your hand. You're basically looking at the car next to you, trying to figure out when are they strong. And you might hold the thing all the way to the end. I know myself, when I have been the control car, often I find myself waiting till the very last instant until I actually drop the hammer, trying to get that penalty on my competitor. I like to win cleanly, but I like to win more than I like to win clearly. Okay.
Yeah, vision becomes blurry towards the end of these things.
Pace car is off the track. They are ready to wave the green. We see Tony Iverson leading the pack around. They are waving it. Iverson cuts up high. He's got the lead as he leads Parham, Fritz. Owens quickly cutting up, finding himself in 4th. The 2 of Jake Stinson in 5th as they come around the turn, heading down the back stretch. Iverson already with a 2-car length lead.
No, and they're wrecking in the back stretch. They're staying green so far. Yellow's out, and we're gonna go.
What just happened in the back?
Oh boy, we got one upside down. Oh boy. Who is that? This will be a fun replay.
All right, YouTube viewers, that was something special. We are going to give you that replay so you can see what exactly happened. Joe Volpus quickly towed to the pit. Would not be surprised. Poor Joe. Joe just got back on the lead lap, and yet then he finds himself quickly upside down. And as Bobby he told us, it's not good.
And so here we see a car getting loose in the middle of the backstretch. At this point, there's nothing you can do.
Look at that. And Steve Lewis is caught up. And there he goes. He's T-boning him. Nice job by Steve Lewis, teaching that man a lesson.
Oh,
look at the 57 come in. Oh, and
no,
the 20. Oh, upside down. Joe Volpus, nowhere to go.
With a hit similar to Corey LaJoy a few weeks ago, sliding on his rim for about, 500 yards. I don't want to say the term I'm thinking of right now, It's two
Well, if you're
words.
in a 7 car, you're going to end up on the hood, right? We've seen that the last few weeks.
That's fair. Yeah, it's very true. And
Let's
yeah,
go
just a
back and
brutal
look at
wreck.
that again. All
Oh,
right,
this
so
will be
we're
a
on
fun one.
board. Looks like we're on board with Vulpes right here. A little bit of smoke. He goes
So
down
he's
low like
checking
he's
up.
supposed to. Oh! So Steve Lewis got in front of him, and he just launched like Corey LaJoy.
Wow.
Wow.
And yep, he checked up. He did everything he could. He was just a passenger. And Vulpes, on theme with the day he's had today, just
Yeah.
cannot catch a
And
break.
same thing with Steve Lewis. There was nowhere he would go. You know,
No.
Lewis hit the brakes as best he could, made some contact with that door side of the car in front of him. And then once he got clear, he tried to come down low. Racing incident. I'm not sure what exactly MRL officials are going to call for the early part of that, because we did see the red car, or the 97. Looked like the 97 a Swingle got sideways. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, lots of action. Also important to note, that was not the first overtime finish. In this league, we get 3 green-white checkers. That was not one of them. We actually just went green, I believe, with three to go. And we didn't get to the white, so we were going green with 2 to go. And if we don't get to the white, we're going to try it 2 more times until we get to the white flag.
Quite interesting as things are heating up here at Dover. Tony Iverson still your leader in the 13. Justin Parham, Matthew Fritz, David Owens. These are names we've been saying all night. Jay Stinson, Brian Dodson. This top 6 has been names we have said all evening long. Mason Smalley now making him part of that conversation in the 7th position. And ever lurking, Miami beat Jacksonville, and all I got is this sweet Rod Duvall himself, the 84 of Florida man, lurking right behind, getting ready to strike.
Yes, this will be another interesting one, and the name of the game is find a way to get side by side with Iverson and 1 and 2, whatever it takes. Or if you can't do that, do something to get a run out of 2, because he is checking out.
I tell you what, Zach, between you and me, sometimes you can pass the guy clean, and sometimes you need to show him your front bumper.
Yeah, it might be the only way here.
If I am Parham or Fritz, or I mean David Owens kind of goes without saying, but if I'm Parham or Fritz and I get close, I might try to get him off the preferred line with my front bumper. I think that's the only way you're going to beat Iverson. Last week we saw him lose because of the gas mileage. This week, gas ain't a factor, tires ain't a factor. What's it going to take to beat this guy? This guy's been the fastest man on the track the last 2 weeks. It's going to take something special.
It's been nearly impossible to beat him on merit, on track, on speed. That's a great point. We just saw that great shot from Kevin Kyle, producer of Miles the Monster. I'm pretty sure he had a Vulpes' card in his hand there. Man, he collected yet another victim today.
Poor Joe Vulpes, just not the way he wanted to end
I
his
know.
day.
I love you, Vulpes, by the way. You are a fantastic driver. It's not been fun to cover it, but it's only interesting because he's such an excellent driver.
Well, Joe Vulpes currently 2 laps down. He is on the track. He is at the end of the line.
That thing runs.
If we see a couple of acts of foolishness that bringing out caution, he could find himself back up. Pace car is off the track. We see Iverson leading him around.
Oh, and they go around immediately.
What just happened? Parham into the wall. That's not the guy.
Oh, and they're wrecking behind him. And we're going to have another caution.
Spinning.
That 28, another incident. I don't know who's doing any. That was definitely a tire spin issue. Our producer, Kevin Kyle, can tell you all about that. It happened to him in Auto Club a couple of weeks ago. It is so easy for that to happen, especially at these concrete tracks. It can happen so easily. And it happens 9 times out of 10 in those circumstances right there. You want that win, and you just grab a handful of gas.
What do you think happened right there? Did we see the spinning? We're on board with David Owens right here. I think we're going to see the 903 spin his tires.
Yep.
Owens makes contact, and Parham gets loose. You can see Fritz and Stinson get through quick. Owens continues to move, and then if we look back a little bit further on the next replay, you're going to see what happens with Bobby Dodson and that whole group causing the 32 of Bobby Dodson. You know, I said everybody but his stepdad hit him, but I think his stepdad just got in on the action too,
Oh, for
because
sure.
once again, you see the 32 get spun around.
And he
There's
just got taken out. You're going to see Dodson just get turned at some point here. So that's behind him, and he just has to watch all the mayhem unfold. And yeah, from this point on, it's so hard to get rig runners. You see Dodson in the middle, and Jax gets sent into him.
Duval
Just a
gets
domino
into
effect
him.
there.
Lots of racing incidents.
And Dodson is thinking, are you kidding me? I worked my way up to the top 5, and this happens.
How about Parham? I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row that this guy's been at the front of the pack, and then circumstances beyond his control end up pushing this guy a little bit back further than, you know, if you ask him, than he deserves. And also myself as the viewer, to watch this guy leading laps, to watch this guy being in the top 5. I mean, hell, being in a podium position and then push back, unfortunately, right out of it. And look at this replay right here. As you can see, the 97 just lightly, Dick Swingle
Barely.
touches Duval, and that sends Bobby Dodson around. And then the 97, if he was going to order a steak, it would have been a T-bone, because he gets right into that right door of Bobby Dodson.
Absolutely. It's just an absolute cluster, you know what, at that point. And you're so right about Parham. He had a great run today, and he made a mistake that we've all made a million times. It can happen to anybody. And when you're in second place, and like we were talking about, how do we stay with this guy? How do I find a way?
I just put new tires on, Zach. I just got new tires. What is happening?
Exactly. You grab that gas, and you're like, what just happened? And there's no saving it. So happens to the best of us.
The same strategy, the same amount of pressure on the pedal, the same gear that you've been using for all 135 laps, and then all of a sudden the car betrays you, and you find yourself backwards looking at the 84 and say, hey, sorry, bud, my bad, but I'm the Florida man, and I'm going to get through this clean. See you next time.
Absolutely. Racing is mean, and it doesn't forgive, and it doesn't give breaks. We got two more overtimes here.
2 more overtimes, and you see the pace car leading him around. Tony Iverson is still going to be on the inside. Let's see where he chooses, but right now, Iverson leads him. The 908 of Matt Fritt and the 2 of Jay Stinson. So he's still got 2 of those top 5 perennial guys right behind Iverson. I haven't seen either one of them use the front end of their car to make a pass.
Yeah, and you got Fritz with that triple-digit number, meaning he is a rookie here. And I can tell you, when you're a rookie in a league, the last thing you want to do is make a name for yourself in a way like that. So you'll probably see him be cautious, but it's, like we said in the last restart, your vision blurs when you see a checker flag and you see a trophy on their side. And sometimes you do things that you can't fully explain, and I don't judge anyone for that. So this will be an interesting one. And yeah, we do have some new characters up front after that incident. Owens losing 1 spot. He's there in 5th now. We got Smalley and Stinson, guys who have been up front, you know, on the long runs all race, but I don't think they've really had this chance to really be chomping at the bit on a restart, especially with 2 to go. So this will be fun.
Other names you want to look at, David Owens. He is often loose on a restart. Going to be interesting. Owens in the 5th position. Kevin Brower, he's running a loose setup all day. He's in 6th. Behind them, you got the defending champion.
And we got a wreck under caution with Jax.
That is...
2 Florida a Florida on Florida wreck. That is the story that we got to focus on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is frowned upon greatly by MRL officials, and I am glad I am not a part of this one.
So it looks like Swingle... I'm not sure if he, yeah, you guys know what assuming does, so I'm not going to try to make any assumptions here.
Well, I see a lot of chatter on the radio from Duval, but none from Dick Swingle.
Yeah, Jax is laughing about it, so that's a good sign.
These 2 guys have no history of beef with each other.
He just cast it up. Our producer guessed that's what happened, and that's absolutely what happened. There are different ways to warm your tires.
Wow. Really unfortunate set of circumstances right there. Not sure how MRL officials are going to navigate this incident.
Lights are off, so it looks like we are going to go green this time around. And yeah, no EOL for Swingle. Both cars still on track. They're going to find out what kind of damage they got from that fun incident there, but no penalties being handed out. And yeah, big shout out to the defending champ, Sanders. I was wrong earlier. He was not the one who got the EOL, Colonel Sanders. So he's been doing a wonderful job of getting his way back through the field, and now in 7th place. Who knows what can happen here?
No, he has won some races, not last year, but he has a history of winning. And Jax Duval still in that 8th position. Let's see what kind of damage he took. Gonna be a fine finish, Zach.
This will be good. And here we go.
The pace car is off. Tony Iverson drops the hammer. We are green. Iverson quickly cuts up to the top lane to take the lead right in front of the 908 of Fritz, leading him around turns 1 and 2 on the inside, and right underneath with him, Jay Stinson, as he takes him down the backstretch.
Loose down the backstretch, tons of action out there, and you saw Iverson was able to clear, get to the top, and make a gorgeous arc. He is checking it out. He just has to hope these guys can stay great for one more corner.
See the 908 hit the wall. That's going to cause some action.
Yellow.
Oh, Bobby Dodson again, an unfortunate incident.
They will stay green, though, so we're going to make our way back around. Still tons of action behind them, but this is going to be Tony Iverson's race. What a great job by him, and Owens' car still works.
Jay Stinson in the 908 of Matt Fritz. Owens on the outside trying to hold that line. Underneath him, you see Jack Sanders trying to get better position. Jack Sanders loses control. He's up in the wall. Does not hit anybody. Spinning behind, though.
And they wreck across the checkered flag, but it is Tony Iverson, start to finish, had the long run speed, had the short run speed, made it up for last week where they took it away from him on gas mileage. Couldn't take this one away. What a drive.
Unbelievable. The 13 of Tony Iverson, class of the field all day long. He is going to be your winner. The 2 of Jay Stinson. He could not finish strong last week. He does this week, taking that 2nd place finish. And the 908 Matt Fritz, he is going to be number 3. That is your podium finishers. Number 4 looks like David Owens, and the number 5 finisher, Jack Sanders, last year's champion, coming in strong with a 5th place finish. What a run, as we are looking at the 13 of Tony Iverson. He wanted to do this donut last week. He couldn't, but he's doing it right now. And I'll tell you what, Zach, that is a champion.
That has got to be euphoric for Tony Iverson. That's got to feel so good. I'm sure that Band-Aid from last week is ripped off completely. Nothing feels better than going through feeling like a race was taken away from you and going out the next week and just taking it for yourself, going out and getting it. What a drive. I cannot say enough good things about that. Professional drive. No one had anything for this guy.
Really just a pleasure to watch this guy run around the track.
He is going to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
I'll tell you what, we did not know exactly how many people we were going to have in this series this year. 20 the first week, 20 this week, and we've had some amazing, amazing fields. And I'll tell you what, Zach, there has been some unfortunate incidents of contact. I mean, we saw it right there under caution on that restart, and yet people know it's not malicious. They know it's an accident, and they take it well. They're like, "Hey, bud, I'm sorry." And that is the biggest part, is apologizing when you're the crazy person, and we see that right there.
Absolutely. MRL has this foundation of a group of friends that they've kind of built out of and made it a league that is attractive to other people. And the way they've done that is by having a great community of drivers who respect each other, but also starting to hold them accountable with things like EOLs, incident point penalties, and even suspensions if things get that bad. So they're finding that perfect hybrid between a good, friendly, competitive league, but also getting professional drivers that are being held accountable, which produces this respectful, close, great racing.
All right, I tell you what, I'm going to try to pull a few drivers in here for an interview. Jack Sanders, can you hear me, bud? Mean Gene Money up in the booth.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jack, we missed you last week. I understand there were things going on in your life. You couldn't make it tonight. Didn't really see you in the top 3 most of the night, but when push comes to shove, you come through strong with that 5th place finish. Tell me how your race went, my friend.
Could have been better, but it's Dover. You just try to hang in there. Hang there.
How about
hang
these
in
new
there till the
guys?
end.
How about these new guys? I mean, last season we didn't have 20 people running on Monday Night Mayhem. All of a sudden, you come back, you got 20 crazy people running around. You got 3 guys with 900 numbers that think they ought to win the race. You got Tony Iverson coming out of nowhere with all this speed. I mean, Jack, you still a contender for a championship?
Oh no, I don't think so. Like last season, it was kind of like in this race. Just stay clean and try to keep yourself going forward. And just like last season, it was just luck of the draw, basically, the Final Four. So this year,
Luck of the draw. Luck of the draw. You're a guy that ran top 5 all season long. You can't call that luck of the draw, Jack. That's called consistency, and that, my friend, is something that you exude. And it's only a matter
I appreciate
of time.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not luck. It is being consistent and finding yourself in a position to win. But it wasn't consistency tonight. It was making the right decisions tonight that pushed you up into the top 5 in those last 5 laps. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Sanders, great run from the Colonel. Looking forward to seeing you defend that title this year, my friend.
Thank you so much.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to your 4th place finisher, Mr. Zero Chill himself, the finisher, David Owens. Are you there?
I'm here, sir. I am here.
You don't sound very excited, Dave. What was your interpretation of events there at the end?
Well, it's Dover. It's crazy. It's a monster mile here. Eat up tires. You got to be on edge with your car. It's like Darlington, but compact. So it was a good run. Started 9th. Didn't qualify well. So happy to come out here with the top 5.
Can I ask Owen something? Great run, David. I gotta ask you. First of all, is this still your favorite track? And did that? How
always.
different was the car after every wall? First of all, how many times did it hit the wall? And was it not driving any differently? Like, how did you keep so much speed throughout the race?
Oh, it was sideways. It was loose after a couple of them wall hits. Just had to drive it. I just had to deal with it. So
You were fun to watch. You were fun
made
to
it
watch.
as hard as I could for the other guys to get around me. I think I was irritating them. Yeah, I was able to run that high side. I didn't see too many people up there.
Absolutely.
No, definitely. Once we saw that right front damage on your car, we knew that you were riding a wild bull, and you kept that thing straight further longer than 8 seconds. Really good run out of the 11 of David Owens. He's going to finish 4th place, and we're going to see him continue to push up in those points. David Owens, champion in another series. Really can't wait to see what you do the rest of the year here in Monday Night Mayhem. Thank you, David. Great run.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, Zach, let's see if we got another top 3 finisher here.
Let's see, we got Iverson here. We got Jay Stinson here.
Jay Stinson, you with us, buddy?
Yes, sir, man. I'm here. Matt's here
Hey,
too. Man. I think
I'll-
Fritz finished 3rd in that one. So he's in
Okay,
here.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. We'll get to Fritz here in a moment. Jay, last week wasn't quite your race. I did see you. We saw you in the front. You did finish in that fifth place, and then 4th in points because of what you did. Little bit stronger finish here tonight, 2nd place. Do you see yourself keep moving up that pole?
I'll go with luck and some cautions and little help on some restarts and stuff like that. I felt like I had a top 5, top 10 car, probably not 2nd. So I think luck had me get to 2nd. I feel like I could have finished 4th if that first caution there late didn't come out with about 8 to go. I think I was in 4th and probably would have finished there, 5th right there. So, if I can stay top 5 and be consistent and have fun with these guys in the Discord and on the track, then yeah, that's perfect.
I like that you say that, Jay. Having fun with the guys in the Discord, because we've seen a lot of incidents, but no malice. The people that are part of it quickly say, "I'm sorry." The guy that is, also part of it's like, "I understand." We see Jacques Duval. He got in a couple of really hard hits, and nobody got mad. I like that you point that out, Jay. Nobody's trying to kill anybody out here, but I will say this, Jay. if you're going to beat Tony Iverson down the road, you might have to use that front bumper, my friend. That guy's fast.
He's real fast, buddy. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, you're right. You're gonna have to use the bumper. You're gonna have to maybe hope he glitches out or he makes a bad pit stop. You know.
Yeah.
Any mistake on his side.
Hey, if you do use that front bumper, I wasn't the one that told you to do it, but you can send me a DM with a thank you note later. Good
I
run,
got
Chase
you.
Jensen. He's gonna finish second place in that number 2. Looking forward to seeing him moving up.
Hey,
in the
appreciate you
standings.
guys. Happy to have you guys in the broadcast. That's awesome.
Great run, Jay.
Thanks, guys.
Who's next, Zach? Who you got?
Let's get the 908 of Fritz in here. Is he in here?
Yes, I am.
How's it going, man? Great run today. Welcome to the MRL.
I appreciate it.
So I'll ask him this one. How'd you feel today? Is this your overall second run in MRL? Is this your second run overall, or is this your second run in the Cup Series? And how you liking it out there? Anything you noticed? And how you liking the next gen car over here at Dover?
Dover's one of my favorite tracks, so I had fun with that. Great racing over here. It is my second race, and it's been a blast. I've had fun at Charlotte. I messed up, but Dover is one of my strong suits.
Definitely a very, very difficult track to get a grasp of. What did you feel like was the key to being successful today? Were you focused more on the long run, the short run, or just racing the track throughout the race?
The long run, I'm terrible at the short run, so I was trying to save tires as much as I can and keep up. And yeah, Tony was really fast.
Yeah, Tony is going to be a force to be reckoned with, but great run and welcome to the league. You got anything for Mean Gene for?
I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure to watch you, and I also got to say, Matt, that paint job you had, that might have been my favorite paint job I saw tonight. That Mountain Dew scheme, just sweet, all the colors on that thing, and then you made it even look better with that finish. Matthew Fritz going to finish third in that 908. Hey, Matt, I got to ask you, right now you're running that 908 because you're a rookie. You going to keep that 908, or when they give you the opportunity to pick a new number, what number are you going to pick, or is that a factory secret?
Probably the 48 or 29.
Nice.
48 or the 29. Well, we
Jimmy
look forward to
Johnson or
seeing that.
Kevin Harvick. I respect that.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Iverson running in that number 13. Last week, he had victory snatched. The jaws of defeat came out of nowhere in the form of the 84 of Jax Duvall, but this week, no one had an answer. Tony Iverson, your winner here at Dover Motor Speedway. Tony, you got me.
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Oh, Tony. Last week, you watched the captain of the debate team take your date home from the senior prom. But I'll tell you what, tonight when she got in the limousine, that was your limo, my friend. How are you feeling?
The race last week had me feeling some kind of way because I hate when, fuel strategy or I just suck at saving fuel so bad. So it puts a dirty taste in my mouth. And I was really hoping with the amount of laps one tank turned here that it wouldn't end up that way again. Seemed like the cautions fell right, or like literally every time the caution came out. It seemed like at least the first two, it was about 2-3 laps before I was wanting to pit anyways. So things lined up nicely, and it was just about making it through that gauntlet of restarts at the end because I could feel, Fritz, Stinson, Owens. I could feel them wanting get a good restart on me, and I hate that they kept getting them chances, but I'm glad that I was able to stay ahead and wrap this one up.
I'll tell you what, watching you run tonight, there were a lot of cars that destroyed themselves trying to keep up with you, specifically the 07 of Joe Vulpes. That poor man, he drove his tires down to the rim. Only guy that I even saw could keep close to you. And it cost him the car eventually. He finished a lap down, unfortunately, for Joe Vulpes. But Tony, are these just your tracks? Just this size track, this track in particular? Do you consider yourself a speedway expert, a short track expert?
I really
what can we expect out of you moving forward?
I like high speed tracks that don't slap a restrictor plate on the car. So I really like Charlotte last week. I think Dover just feels like it feels like you're on one of those motorcycles stuck in the metal cage ball. That is just a gnarly track, and so I like high speed tracks a lot. Definitely could use some work on short tracks and road courses and stuff, but I really like the car being on edge, and I also feel like that extra speed helps me find where I'm going to save my tires at. So it's kind of like that's one of the reasons I like them, is not just the fun factor, but just feel them a little bit more.
I was gonna ask. I'm so glad you asked that, me and Gene, because I was gonna ask the same thing. I was like, are we in for just a lot here, or are these just two tracks that you love? Because you have been the class of the field for the last 2 weeks. I do have a question for you about today's race. We were watching the fastest laps all day, and you were always within 1 to 2 tenths of the fastest lap, but you never seemed to quite want to crack it because we all know you had the speed for it. Was that like a conscious effort you were making to try to really, really save early in the run, or did you just really have that good of a long run speed?
My goal, so I really was trying to have long run speed as best as I could. So the goal for me would be to get like 4 or 5 tenths in front and then try to maintain that comfortably. So if I see myself lose a tenth or two, I'll try to speed it up a little bit. But if I see myself gain a tenth or two, I'll try to get back on the throttle a little later in the corner, and just anything I can do to try to extend the run, because Dover especially is just grinds up your rubber, and it starts to show who knows how to save or not by about lap 30, 35. So I wanted to be around for that.
Yeah, we saw you put in your fastest lap of the race about 10 laps into a run, which must have been disheartening for the field, but that's brilliant. Like we said it on the broadcast all day. You were playing chess out there. Well done.
I appreciate it.
Amazing race, Tony. Looking forward to seeing you defending moving forward. That win is going to put Tony Iverson into the playoffs, regardless of how the rest of the season goes. But I am not going to be surprised to see Iverson not only on the podium, but also in victory lane moving forward. Number 13, Tony Iverson. Thank you so much, sir. Great run.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate your efforts in the broadcast. I love watching.
Thank you, brother. And the last man I'd love to talk to, Justin Parham. Are you out there, my friend?
Yeah, I've got you.
Justin, last week you ran so strong, and then all of a sudden you just found the right side door of some drivers. Once again, you're running strong the whole race. I mean, you got a podium car. What happened out there, my friend?
I just that one restart there on that green white checker, just spun the tires a little bit, then got the slight tout from I believe it was David, and between that and already spinning the tires, I wasn't able to gather it back up under me, and it just went into the outside wall.
Man, that is just so unfortunate. The 903 Justin Parham. I mean, this guy, he has run at the top of the field last week at Charlotte, this week at Dover, and yet continues to just find travesty beyond his control. I mean, these aren't even things that you're doing, Justin. It's just the unfortunate part of it. I just wanted to give you a shout out and let you know, man, I've got an eye on you, and I expect big things from the 903 moving forward. Are you going to change that number anytime soon, Justin?
I got one more race to go before I can change it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, the quicker they put a 2-digit number on the side of that car, the sooner justice will be done. 903 Justin Parham, but we're looking forward to a new number. Thank you, Justin. Good run today.
Great run, Justin.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to be the end of our broadcast. Race 2 of our 10-race regular season. Dover wrapped up. Number 13, Tony Iverson, going to take his first win of the season. Zach, any parting thoughts?
Oh, I'm just so excited for the rest of this season. We're 2 races in, and we got so many good stories already. We got the somewhat newcomer Tony Iverson coming in and just making an absolute statement. He's been so impressive. But then you still have the mainstays, the guys who have made this league as popular as it is, and the guys who you want to beat so badly. The David Owens, the Vulpuses, the Jaxes, the Novellas, so many others of the world in this league. We're in store for a really, really good league. A really, really good season. I think Iverson while he's shown us that he's here to stay, I think we're going to be very entertained by the races upcoming. I think we have some new winners coming.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at the bottom of what we just saw, I mean, look at those names. They were just part of accidents. Joe Vulpus, Duval, Bobby Dodson, Brandon Garan, Matt Novella. I mean, these are your bottom finishers today, but these are champions who have all won races in the last few seasons. So really tight racing here at Dover today. Just heck of an effort by all of these drivers. I do want to give one more shout out before we go. Driver I didn't get to talk about much today, Jay DeWayne in that 912 with the 8th place finish. Jay really pushed our at the end. Didn't see him much during the race, but he was Mr. Consistent.
Absolutely.
Jay DeWayne
That's how
going
you
to come
finish
through
well
with
at
that
Dover.
top 10. Absolutely. Strong one by him. KK, you got any parting thoughts for us?
Oh, that can't hear Kevin.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mean Gene Money here, live. We are leaving you from Dover after watching that amazing victory by Mr. Money himself, Tony Iverson in the 13, taking that win. I got Zach Panzarella right here next to me. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please come back, join us next Monday for week 3 as we continue to push forward in Moonlight Racing League Monday Night Mayhem. God bless and God bless you.